How is second-year quarterback Sam Howell looking to this point in Commanders training camp? That is the question that I'm going to be answering on today's show. But before we get things going, we're going to be doing a Commanders mailbag this weekend. And if you want to get a question or a Commanders hot take for the 2023 campaign on the show, go ahead and get into the comment section. Use hashtag Commanders along with your question or hot take, and you might just make the show this week. Now let's talk about Sam Howell here, who over the first couple days of practice here, about the first couple weeks here, I think he's been looking pretty darn good. He's been looking a lot better than he did last season. The footwork and throwing mechanics are looking noticeably better. And when he gets a clean pocket, he is somebody that's absolutely done a great job at hitting guys on those deep balls, hitting guys, going through his progressions. Seems like he's doing a pretty nice job when he isn't pressured, but the problem is he seems to be always pressured in this offense right now with this offensive line that is not doing a great job at protecting him at this point. The offensive line is definitely seeming to be a problem in the early days of camp. Now, it is worth noting that the defensive line for the Washington Commanders is excellent, so it could just be that this defensive line is that good. But I've been saying for weeks now, this offensive line is going to be a problem heading into the 2023 season, particularly in the run game. But it definitely seems like pass protection is an issue right now as well. I think Charles Leno Jr. and Andrew Wiley, your tackles are solid, but they're not high-end starters. But then the interior of the offensive line is filled with question marks. You got Sadiq Charles currently dealing with a calf injury. We'll get into that later in today's show. Right now, Chris Paul is taking starting reps at left guard, and he is getting destroyed by this defensive line, namely Daron Payne. And then Nick Gates, somebody that has had trouble staying on the field throughout his career. And then Sam Cosmi, I think he's probably going to be our best offensive lineman this year, at least on the interior. It worries me a little bit that he's 6'7", so he doesn't have the leverage advantage on the interior, but I think that overall he is the best fit there, and I'm interested to see what Ricky Stromberg can do as well. But because of how this offensive line is playing and Sam Howell having to be under pressure all the time, leading to inaccuracies, leading to him having to throw the ball away, is he really getting a fair shot here, and is he really getting screwed out of his legitimate shot at a starting position in the National Football League? I mean, with an offensive line like this that apparently can't protect him, it's going to be really, really tough for him to prove that he is a bona fide starter in this league. And if I were Ron Rivera, who is pretty much in charge of the front office here in Washington, okay, Martin Mayhew, he's the GM, but Ron Rivera really decides on the personnel on this team. I would go out and get another offensive lineman to join this group and really protect your second-year quarterback to give him a fair shot. So I beg Ron Rivera right now, please go out and get Ben Jones in NFL free agency. He is the best interior offensive lineman on the market right now. Played in 12 games for the Tennessee Titans last year at center. He can also play guard, and he only allowed 1 sack. He was the 17th highest rated center in the National Football League. And at this point in free agency, if you can get a league average or pretty much a pretty darn good interior offensive lineman, I'm going to take that every day of the week over guys like Chris Paul, over guys like Sadiq Charles, possibly over guys like Nick Gates, who has struggled throughout his career. I would much rather have a guy like Ben Jones in the room to help out Sam Howell and give him a fair shot. Now, let me know what you guys think about Sam Howell down there in the comment section. Do you think he's getting a fair shot here, getting a fair shake at this opportunity that he gets here to be the Washington Commanders starting quarterback? Give me a yes or give me a no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time when the time comes by giving me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. And speaking of people that are kind of getting screwed right now by Ron Rivera and kind of his roster management, especially with the offensive line right now, is new offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, because I really do believe in Eric Bieniemy. It seems like the reports coming out is that he's bringing a lot of creative stuff to the locker room, to the playbook, and then he's really a no-nonsense guy, which I really like as well. He's really holding this offense to a high standard, and somebody like that deserves a proper roster to work with. And this offensive line, like I've said, is just not I'm just not sure it's going to be up to snuff this year. I'm not sure it's worth the kind of or it's worthy of Eric Bieniemy's offensive mind. And I think this offense might look a little bit worse than what Eric Bieniemy is actually capable of, because they're not going to be able to protect the quarterback and they're not going to block against the run. And there's only so much you can do with a bad offensive line in the National Football League, and that is my biggest fear for the Washington Commanders heading into 2023. But I'm really hoping that this offensive line can at least be serviceable, at least protect Sam Howell enough where he can make enough throws to win you football games, because this defense is going to be really, really good this season. So you don't need to have the best offense in the National Football League to compete for the playoffs. You just need a serviceable offense, and to do that, you need a serviceable offensive line. So hopefully this O-line doesn't screw Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell out of their jobs, essentially, because if this team fails, everybody's getting fired. Everybody's gone. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I certainly think that this offensive line is going to be the X factor in whether or not the Commanders end up making the postseason here in 2023. So now, still to come on today's show, I've got a couple of Commanders injury updates to go over with you guys. But first, before we go into those injury news updates, go ahead and go to our friends at Fanatics on their website. You can use our link, chatsports.com/CommandersCombo, to get your hands on this awesome t-shirt combo that they have on their website right now, just in time for the 2023 season. The energy around this franchise is the highest it's been in decades. Now that Dan Snyder is gone, show your support for Josh Harris and this new regime by getting some Commanders gear for yourself today and restock in your arsenal. You have to use our link, chatsports.com/CommandersCombo. If you use that link, Fanatics will know that we sent you. So now I've got some Commanders injury updates here from the middle of the week. And the first one is that starting left guard, or at least presumptive starting left guard, Saahdiq Charles, is dealing with a minor calf injury to this point in camp. He is currently listed as day-to-day, and it seems like he's certainly going to be ready to go for the Commanders' first preseason game next week, which I'm very excited to see. I mean, apparently Ron Rivera really believes in this guy. So, I mean, if you're really not going to address this position, you're really going to put all of your chips in the center of the table with Saahdiq Charles as your left guard, he better be worth it, in my opinion, or Ron Rivera could be biting the dust. And now another one here, kind of sad news here. David Bata, interior defensive lineman here, is out for the season, or presumed to be out for the season, because he suffered a torn triceps muscle, which takes a long time to recover from. It's going to be tough for him to get on the field here in 2023, and the presumption is he will miss the entirety of the 2023 season. And that'll be it for today's show, guys. Make sure you click that subscribe button for me right now, because we've got some great Commanders training camp coverage coming your way. We're going to be covering the preseason games, everything leading up to that Week 1 matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to have you covered, man, so you got to make sure you click that subscribe button for me right now.